Word speed. We're
Okay.
rolling.
Talk to us about gangster rap. I mean, how have you defined gangster rap over the last 10 years or so? What's your definition of gangster rap?
Oh, rap is rap, and there's really no such thing as gangster rap. It's just an expression of what people see sometimes in their day-to-day life, or it's the negative aspect that happens to run prevalent in the black community. But the level of discussion when it comes down to rap music and its effects and where it comes from needs to be brought up to a higher plane than just sound bites. So gangster rap is a term that could have came from the outside. There's positive and negative aspects in the black community, and a lot of times the negative aspects get highlighted through society because society and mainstream has that point of view of the black community anyway from jump.
Is that what's responsible for what the mainstream terms is gangster rap's popularity, the fact that it's something that the mainstream wants to highlight, or is it because there's kids out there who want to hear harder tales and more violent lyrics? Is it the mainstream pushing gangster rap, or is it people just naturally have an interest in it?
Well, if you look at Hollywood and other media aspects in particular, look at the news, they want a lot of times for sensationalism, they want to dwell on the negative aspect. And if it's coming through the news and it's coming through other forms of entertainment, a lot of people are going to, eventually it's going to come through the music where people are pretty much demanding the downside of life as opposed to the upside of life. But that's life. So a lot of times you have to, balance those things out with real things. And there's real things that transcend the music. So hopefully when there's a change in the community, there could be a change in the music and in the forms of entertainment that's coming out of it.
When we're talking about what's real in the community, I mean, a lot of talk over the last year, especially coming from New York rappers, has been keep it real, keep it honest, keep it real, stay real. Is some of the lyrics in gangster type rap, is it actually real, or is it really coming from some of these artists' experiences, or are they just trying to get over by making up these hardcore lyrics?
Well, a lot of times I blame the record companies, and I don't blame the artists so much, because the story is going to be told, and the story is a story, and a lot of times, whether it comes from a country and western artist, or whether it comes from somebody singing the blues, or whether it comes from somebody in mainstream pop, they choose stories a lot of the times that they didn't experience themselves. So, I mean, this is typical of music, and this is typical of entertainment, that a story could just be a story. Somebody say, you're making up a story. So people have to look at rap music as just that. But, a balance is needed. But like I said, when real change comes about, then you'll have more real lyrics. And what I mean by real, people sticking to what they've experienced themselves, and without the record company pressuring them to dwell on something that just sells. So you got to blame the record companies in that particular instance.
Okay, for coming out for.
Oh, of course, because the record companies, and I hope y'all record this, the record companies are receiving 80% of the profits, so they should get 80% of the pressures put upon them. If society wants to make a change in the music, they have to make a change in society, and sometimes also make a change at the companies who are receiving most of the profits. The artists are just victims of circumstance.
So tell me about that when you're saying make a change in society. In other words, if society doesn't want to hear these lyrics, are you saying these lyrics are, for the most part, are reflecting society, and if they don't want to hear what people are talking about on these lyrics,
make those changes on the real? I mean, education needs to be upgraded. Teachers need to get paid better. Economics need to be taught in the black communities from a standpoint of pretty much self-fulfillment and everything like that. And then we have to have a better understanding of our community and our law-making process, and how we control and protect us. So when you have those three understandings get across, like education, economics, and self-enforcement, then those changes could pretty much help people in general, especially from the hood or where I come from, understand what's going on. And of course, and then you'll hear more messages come out in the music, even harder. Some in some cases even harder than what you're hearing now, because that's when people really see the light.
What kind of effect does hardcore lyrics have on the kids who listen to it, or any effect at all?
Life has an effect on kids, and hardcore lyrics are just a part of life. Lyrics are a part of music, and music is a part of their life. Once upon a time when I was coming up, you had to share a turntable with your parent. Nowadays, kids are able to program themselves. The record companies and the companies that also make the hardware, such as Walkmans and radios, they made it possible for kids to program themselves. So they really, don't get any interference from anybody else when it comes down to programming themselves. So you have to look at big business as being the big blame in all of this, not the kids themselves. Kids will always be kids. Artists will always be artists. Changes have to be made from the top in order to influence the bottom. And that's what the bottom is doing right now. They're screaming out all the things that's being wrong at the top.
When a kid hears something from the Dr. Dre album, "Bitches ain't, but hoes and tricks,"
Right.
and goes around repeating that, who's the fault for something like that? Is it his parents' fault for not screening his music? Is it big business? Is it the artist's fault, or is it a mixture all around?
It's a mixture all around. You can't blame the artists when the artists are the lowest common denominator in the whole game. Artists didn't make up the word bitch, and they didn't make up the curse words and a lifestyle. These lifestyles have been running eminent in our community ever since slavery. We haven't been able to give a chance to bring our people up with full helping from all angles. So you're going to have that come out, and that's going to be a negative aspect. But there's words, and words could be changed around with action and balance. So balance has to come in the community, and you can't just say, well, it's the parents' fault, because if the parent is doing working or doing what they have to do 8 hours or 12 hours away from the child could easily go out in the street and pick up what's out there. So society needs a change from the top, and the people who consider themselves at the bottom need to be able to see a vision of coming up. So that's what all it boils down to. You can't blame it on Dr. Dre's album, or Snoop's album. I think their cries for help of the situation that's going down, and those changes can only happen from the top. Now, what Bob Dole is talking about, when his particular party receives funding from all these other companies or corporations in order for this man to run for president, or Newt Gingrich, or whoever it might be, and they're receiving all kinds of monies from these corporations, you can't really look at these corporations and say that they're not guilty of doing something that has an influence on society in a negative way. So, they have to check themselves before they happen to get down to the bottom of the barrel, because there's a lot of filth at the top. So that's what's going down.
So it's a case of pot calling kettle, basically.
So I can be president. Pot calling kettle, so I could be president, and people are going to throw the most shots so they could get in the high position that they can. It's a situation is going down. As far as rap is concerned, the discussion has to be brought up. You can't no longer talk about the effects of rap music in 5-minute or 30-second sound bites. That's why I'm really working hard to bring the discussion to a higher level on my show. And it's gonna be something that gets to detail and on cutting edge, and also is so informative, so people could look at rap music and then say, well, we can't really blame it on that. We have to look at the causes and try to change it from the top.
Just to finish with Bob Dole, is there anything that he said about this whole issue that you agree with, as far as lyrics and corporate responsibility for what's put out on wax? Was there anything at all that you agreed with?
No, there is a corporate responsibility, because it's not a fair business deal when it comes down to corporations and artists. whether it's movies, whether it's artists making records or music. You can't blame the artists when they're receiving 15 to 20% of the pot. You know, you can't dwell the full responsibility on them. Corporations and companies should realize if they're making money, X amount of money off the black community, they have a responsibility to make some of those changes. You know, and if the money that they're pulling in is so astronomical, they can really truly make a lot of those changes in education, camps, certain points of view. In sports, they're forced to make certain changes to try to influence a positive look at society. Music and entertainment has to take the same road. But Bob Dole, you know, looking at that, you kind of looked at it as being a presidential ploy. I mean, first of all, I mean, I look at the situation in, you know, the fact that he's just not admitting to the fact that, you know, they're doing presidential tricks just for the fact that, you know, he has a bad arm. And, you know, if people all knew that he had a bad arm, they could pretty much say, oh, you know, I mean, hey, that's what happened. But they're trying to hide the fact that he has a bad arm because they're afraid that it would hurt, you know, his election, because people don't want to vote for any handicapped person, so per se, as they say. So, I mean, people, they're pulling out all the tricks, you know. And I think the people in America right about now are looking at, you know, it's like so many tricks that's at the top, you know. It's almost not even, you know, the points that the people at the top talk about, they're irrelevant, and these people are unreachable, and so therefore it's gonna be what, you know, always what it's gonna be, you know. And so therefore a lot of people at the bottom have lost hope.
What you were just saying about people at the top being unreachable, are there aspects of rap music that the mainstream or wide society will never understand, or levels of irony, or that mainstream society will not be able to get and therefore are not qualified to judge?
Of course. I mean, white mainstream society, if they don't understand us as a people, you know, damn sure they're not going to understand our music and our arts and what comes out of the people. That's proven, known, genuine fact. If you don't know the people, then you're not going to understand what comes out of the people. So changes can be made when they have a better understanding of us, we have a better understanding of how this all works, and we have a better understanding on how the system can work for us once we've been given a fair enough shake. And right now, personally, I feel that it's only a percentage of a fair shake, not the total end-around game.
Okay. Let me go back to what we were talking about before the camera started rolling about white kids listening to gangster rap. And tell me why you think it was popular with them. The number I have is that 70% of the buyers of rap music are white kids.
A lot of these surveys are incorrect, they're outdated, and you can never really follow a music survey with a nod of your head. You know, you have to always step back and say, well, who says this and who figured this out?
But tell me why you think hardcore rap appeals to
all rap.
All rap.
Just rap music, or you know, well, you know, black life at any level is intriguing to somebody that's been kept away from it. A lot of white kids have not been taught certain aspects of black life, so it's one big movie to them. So if they can actually look on the videos and see that this is another lifestyle that has been kept away from them, whether it be from a segregated neighborhood or just the whole lifestyle that's been brought to them, and they're not in contact with black folk, you know, and the only contact is going to be through maybe black guys on TV and commercials and TV shows and videos and music and arts and entertainment, and you know, then pretty much they're going to draw to it because it's something that hasn't been brought to them in a knowledgeable manner. So they're going to, of course, they're going to draw to it. And if, you know, I mean, it's going to be more like a movie to them. And if they can interact with the movie and also learn some aspects about black life, the good as well as bad, you know, it's going to be some information as opposed to nothing at all.
Because someone like C. Dolores Tucker might say, well, they're seeing black life at its worst and most stereotypical, and and all that. So
True,
they're
but
not getting a true representation.
the stereotype is reinforced by society in the mainstream. The stereotype is reinforced. The negative stereotype is reinforced by society and all kinds of aspects that help it surfboard its way to everybody else. The positive aspects of black life has always been swept under the rug and kept at a DL, down low. So that's something that takes a bigger hand to make, to magnify that, to give it some balance. That's basically what it all boils down to. So, I mean, people have their points, but you got to understand, when they have their points, what percentage, do they stand correct? And also, are they getting to the meat of the matter? And there's a lot of things that cause the people to talk the way they talk, act the way they act, think the way they think. It's like almost like, you can't blame the end result when, there's all kinds of ingredients, making it, kind of warped.
I just have a couple more questions. The music that was originally considered gangster rap, NWA, to what is now considered gangster rap, how has there been an evolution? How has there been a change in what's considered hardcore gangster rap?
Before you answer that, just pull your T-shirt up. So, I'm getting, I'm getting a little bit of, there we go.
Change?
Yeah, from what was considered gangster rap back in, say, '88 to what's considered gangster rap now.
I don't know. I can't give you an answer because to me the term gangster rap to me has no legitimacy.
I understand.
No,
I
so
understand that.
I call it plus side rap and minus side rap. Rap that probably looks at the negative aspects in society and wants to talk about that, and you have rap that talks about the plus side in society and talks about that. The problem with the plus side aspects of society, it gets no reinforcement from the record companies because they're in there for a profit type thing to use and exploit the artists, and they feel that if they could throw $1 and get 25 back, they don't care what it might be because those people don't feel accountable to our community anyway. But so a lot of people are going to dwell on something that's going to keep their contract running and also money in their pocket. So it's almost like sometimes the music business turns into a hustle for those at the lower ebb, where at the top it's macking for sure. Macking for life. There's no way I could get my TV show in here though, right?
Do you think there's any aspect of rap music that could convince someone to commit a crime? There's been trials about this, particularly Tupac's album, where the defendant blamed what he did on the lyrics of the song. Is that legitimate?
Oh, that's crazy. Can't blame somebody, I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, you can blame a song, you should be responsible for your own actions. And then, of course, there's all kinds of influences, I mean, that can influence you to think in a certain way, but to do, you have to pay for that yourself. I mean, changes could come in. I mean, you could be on the edge and then you watch Psycho on TV where he chops up the lady in the shower and then all of a sudden you go stab 4 or 5 people. I know a case that was just like that, but the person was crazy. So therefore, they said, we ain't gonna blame Psycho, we're gonna blame this crazy person. I mean, you happen to see a fire out, a bonfire, somebody burning leaves in their backyard. Does that mean, oh yeah, I'm gonna burn the house down? I mean, you can't line the two factions up. It's apples and oranges. Everything can influence you in life, but you have to be accountable for your own actions and responsible for your own actions, and you can't blame anything else. And if you're too young to understand, that means there has to be some kind of supplementary education to make you know that bottom line, at the end of the day, you could think whatever you want to think, but you're going to have to be accountable for your actions. If you do this, you pay right away. As simple as that.
I just want to get back to this. The final.
We're going to change tape.
Okay. I just want to get back to one thing you were saying about. Well, I don't remember exactly what it was, but By attacking rap music, are the critics missing the real point? I mean, are they missing the root causes of what is making people write these lyrics and rap these lyrics?
Yes, critics are missing the main point of what's making people write what they write and say what they say. Critics are far off. Like I said earlier, the level of discussion has to be raised higher, past 2 or 3 minutes of discussion. A weekly rap show, actually getting into inner detail of what it's all about. Once a week, like I said, half an hour show, getting down to the nitty gritty with the facts can do a lot of clarifying, so much to the point that, when you look at it, you won't be coming up with rap as the cause of anything anymore, but a transferring of ideas, just like any other song should be considered. Words, action speaks louder than words, and action, people, have to get tied to their actions with their accountability of themselves.
How can the two sides have a constructive dialogue where they can actually listen to each other and come up?
Two sides like what?
Well, I mean, the C. Dolores Tucker and Bob Dole and William Bennett group.
C. Dolores Tucker, Bob Dole, and William Bennett have to make real changes in society. Arts and entertainment, like I said, is a bottom effect. They have to make real changes in economics and education, and also figure out does more control of society go to the people. If they could make those changes, I think that's what the community is looking for. And young people want to be able to have a vision of coming up in society and making sure they have an understanding on how they can get theirs. Instead, like a lot of times you have people that think they could get theirs all in one day. That has to get taught to you. So the Bennetts and the Doles and the C. Dolores Tuckers, they need to stop, getting beside the point and get on to the real power, which means economics, understanding of education, and enforcement and empowerment in the communities. They have to really work hard at balancing out society at that end in order to, balance out the talk about it or the vision about it, which comes out at the bottom.
So they're not listening. They're the ones who aren't listening at this point.
It's both sides, I understand. If they're the people in Congress, they're in control. So they have to do their job. And their job, doesn't mean, shut down movie theaters and stickering tapes and stuff like dialogue. Stopping dialogue doesn't mean anything. Freedom of speech should still be freedom of speech, but also freedom of action got to be nipped in the bud, and certain other countries, especially even in the African continent, you don't have a lot of freedoms, but at the same time, you are accountable for your actions. So people could pretty much deal with that as long as they know that they have a equal chance of coming up and not being stricken by all kinds of ills of society without an answer nowhere near them.
Do you have anything else you want to say about the entire subject? Anything else you want to add?
Talking about rap being the cause and gangster rap, the level of discussion hasn't been given enough time and hasn't really been clarified. Given a 22-minute show per week by me and my crew, my production people. And the name of the show is Rap Live with Chuck D. It's going to be like Larry King Live, and it's like inside stuff and like inside the NBA, but this is inside the rhyme. On a national level, international in fact, because rap is international. Yeah. And its changes around the world have been a lot more for the better than, of course, considered for the worse. So hopefully with this change, the music can make a change when it gets more balanced, and the balance will come with understanding on both ends. So the C. Dolores Tuckers and the Doles and the Bennetts, they're far from the fact because nothing's getting interpreted to them about the environment or the music in a way that they can understand how to plug in and make it work. So they're just attacking something that could be good for society. It's a vehicle. It's an avenue, and you don't bomb the road because a couple of accidents were on it. So, you keep the road and you make sure traffic goes right, and that's something that they gotta understand. So, what I'm doing with my career is becoming an ambassador for the music, and trying to take it to another level. And you hold a clean glass to a dirty glass. If you feel that there's a lot of good things to talk about, then you have the good things weighed up against the bad things. Like me, all the time I would show a person that, this person that's got his own business is going to outweigh the drug dealer any day. Maybe not for that particular Thursday and Friday, but the next Thursday or Friday of the following year, this guy's game is a lot better than this guy's game. But, you have to be able to weigh them both in front of society. You just can't eliminate that when it's a reality on their own block. A real change will erase that reality. Reality can only erase reality. Talk and a lot of words, can just, will just circle around as long as we live. Rhetoric will just circle around. Action speaks louder than words. And people, if they feel that they can make the proper actions to make a change in society and actually works for them, it's going to work for them and their homies and their people or whatever, you'll see more people make more positive actions because they see where it counts. But, when people also look at society and see where it's hypocritical in different parts and cracks and nooks and crannies, then that's when they get disillusioned about society. And hopefully, the music and this show that I'm going to do is going to interpret a lot of clarity to a lot of people that have come out against it and anti, and make them look at it like, whoa, I didn't think that, it was about that. I didn't think that rap music can actually be used as a vehicle in that instance. I didn't know that rap music can actually be a stepping stone into, upliftment and different things like that. But you don't eliminate the positive, the negative, or you don't eliminate the positive. You let everything run its course in dialogue. And when it comes down to the real nitty-gritty, that's when you have to step in and make changes. Somebody just came up and said, we're going to take out all the liquor stores in the black community. Now, that's something that Bennett and Dole can do. If we're going to eliminate selling cigarettes in the black community and eliminate all these companies that exist in the black community, which drives our health all the way down and out, that's something that they can do. Talking about music, and the reason that, a lot of people maybe feel that they're talking about rap music because they're looking at it on how it might influence the majority of white youth around the country.
So are you saying there that there's a danger that it could get white youth to think differently about things or how things are run, and that's why it's a threat to the mainstream?
Possibly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Almost set. If you
I was
want
going
to
to tell you, David, that we've got,
planes.
periodically throughout what I thought were some sound bites. Okay? Needless to say, it's
Can it be
going to
cleaned
be...
up?
We're rolling again.
What are you feel that the Dole and the C. Dolores Tuckers and the William Bennetts are sort of destroying or attempting to wipe out this entire form of expression in order to eliminate the bad side, or talk to me about that.
No, the Doles, the Bennetts, the Tuckers have to be able to take their power to a higher level than just talking about music and entertainment and rap. That's an irrelevant issue that's looked upon by the normal person as one that's probably going to give votes and then brushed aside when it gets time to, look at them when they're in a position of power. They have to make real changes, and real changes will come from education, economics, and self-empowerment and enforcement changes, things like that. And they should be doing their job on that level and stop worrying about the lower ebb. And like I said about rap music, it's something that when they get the music interpreted to them on the powers that it has and what it can be and the changes that it can make. When that gets interpreted to people like that, then you will be able to see people with a clearer understanding of this vehicle. Like I said before, it's an avenue, and just because the avenue has a couple of accidents or a couple of problems on the road, you don't bomb the road. You keep the avenue, you try to control the traffic, and but that only could come when you could really make changes from the top.
Set. We just need a.
Perfect. Let me do a setup real quick.
Okay.
We're rolling. Go ahead.
So when are you looking to start production on your show?
July. I'm looking to start it July, August. We're looking to get it done as soon as possible. And it's something that the corporations that figure in a high percentage of rap, sales, making X amount of money for their companies, they need defense systems. They need interpretation. Up to now, the record companies and the entertainment circles have just been like, people sitting on a high horse making money, gobs of it, and they don't feel accountable to the community. And at the same time, they need somebody to actually explain to them what they really have. The problem is with Warner Brothers, they're scrambling. And they've made X amount of millions of dollars off of rap product. And they really can't interpret it, what it really is. They can't explain to anyone. That's why they're scrambling. And they need some explanations coming to them from different sources that really know what it is and what it can be and what it's about. Look at sports. Sports had negative connotations about it, and certain structure changing in the early 80s and marketing ideas made you get a better look at something that was pretty much day-to-day life when you looked on the tube. So when you look at basketball players and baseball players and football players, you're not looking at any negative connotations other than the game itself, and actually maybe a lot of people doing a lot of community things. Same thing with the music. That's what the music needs, just balance, that's all. And it's always going to be what it is, expression, but it can always get balanced out by real things. Feeding the poor is a real thing.
Yeah.
Somebody, yelling about, killing this or that or whatever and destroying property, that's talk. But actually doing something is a real thing that can balance it out. And it's usually people are going to come along because this is a day where so many people are brainwashed by the hype of media and sound bites and what people at stations put together. Just like, my words right here will just be patched together and in a form that's going to be purposely digestible for whoever watches this while they're eating their pizza at their house. You have what you make, and a lot of people, are what America has made them, a bunch of people receptive to sound bites. So they have to be more thorough than that.
Yeah. Set.
I'm set.
Okay. Did you get just a wad of?
Yeah, I got a wine.
Okay. Just of him.
Yeah.
Okay. We're straight then.
Cool.
Yeah. Actually, if you don't mind, we'd like to just follow you down to the park.
So when is this coming out again?